Breaking news. Breaking Hibagon news. More sketches of Hibagon drawn from eyewitnesses. This changes the Hibagon game again. All through the Hibagon craze of the 1970s, the media and the ape clerk himself always assumed that they were dealing with a freak individual. At least that's how they spoke and wrote, in the third person singular, he and him. Now, theories of his identity included an angered god or spirit of the mountain, an escaped gorilla, a man, a regular man, mutated by the radiation from the Hiroshima atomic bomb. Well, my book says that the Hibagon was simply the Japanese Bigfoot, and there were always several of them, many of them, as there must be. If you're above a certain age, you know that Hibagon babies would come from Hibagon mummies' tummies, and Hibagon daddies put them there, and we've been through that before. But the footprints proved it. It's fairly simple. And here is more proof. This is something I found yesterday. This is the breaking news. Now here's the standard image of the Hibagon. I use it on the cover of my book. I have no problem with it. But it's not a photo. It's a police sketch, so it's subjective. It's subjective to interpretation on both sides. Here are 4 people. My family. Imagine we were a family of cryptids. Now you take 3 eyewitnesses, reliable, truthful witnesses. They give accurate descriptions to a sketch artist, and the artist is good. Well, the artist could still come up with something like this. I have always believed that the Hibagon most commonly cited were juveniles. It appears now, today, that I was right. So I think what we have here is basically a skinny little juvenile with some adult mishmash mixed in. His face looks more adult. This is the NHK archives. NHK is the National Public Broadcasting Network here in Japan. In 1977, NHK came to Hiroshima, to Shobara City, to the Civic Hall, to do a live show, a show on the Hibagon. They had 4 guests, Hibagon eyewitnesses. Each guest told the NHK artist what he or she saw. The artist drew a separate sketch for each eyewitness. Very important. And here they are, on stage, about to reveal the results. First guest. He saw his creature from a distance of 15 meters. That's pretty close. I'd probably pee my pants. He said it had an inverted triangular face. Well, the body matches pretty well with our standard Hibagon sketch. And the face of the standard Hibagon. Yes, it has an inverted triangular face. All right. This is a child. Third guest said that she saw this. Well, this is very different. This looks like a mummy Bigfoot. I think I even see boobies. And I think she looks quite a lot like this mummy Bigfoot, and very like our Hibagon cadaver. And look at that classic Bigfoot behavior, standing in brush, hand on a tree, maybe doing a tree peek, maybe swaying side to side, as was often reported. Very nice. Now, I can't show you what the 4th guest saw. NHK Archive doesn't have that. We do have the 2nd guest sketch, but just a part of it. But better than nothing. It's actually wonderful. Here. Now there is the classic Sasquatch profile. If you showed that to anyone in North America, they could tell what it is. That's a Bigfoot. A big male. A big old daddy Bigfoot. Quite a different sight from this little guy. Well, my 5-year-old daughter and I look quite different too. Now this guy's able to pick you up and snap your neck like a twig. He could put his hand inside you like you were a hand puppet and turn you inside out. He could throw you over his shoulder like a continental soldier and carry you home to his home for dinner. Or maybe a dinner date, concluding in marriage. I thought I had found everything on the Hibagon, but stuff is still out there. And here we are. So our anonymous Bigfoot expert, we won't say his name, this expert who looked into the Hibagon years ago and declared it wasn't Bigfoot and slapped me down and insinuated that I was a liar, you were not doing your job, Bigfoot expert. If your favorite Bigfoot expert isn't doing his job, showing you these photos, well, he's probably not aware of them. But maybe he refused to look at them, as this guy did. I'm not an expert, but come on, that's a Bigfoot. That's a Sasquatch right there. But do this test. Take this partial image and show it to some of your friends. Ask them what it is. Let me know if anyone says it's anything but a drawing of a Sasquatch or Bigfoot. This is a wonderful day. This expands our understanding of the Hibagon, Japanese Bigfoot, Hibagon growth and development, Hibagon sexual dimorphism. Thank you, NHK Archives. I'll put the link in the description. The program was not saved. It is lost forever. NHK got these stills from a vintage television museum. A vintage television museum in Shobara. I think I would like to go there and see if they have any more images from the show. I don't know if they do, but it seems like it's worth a shot. I'm Kyle, feeling very happy and vindicated. I am still confidently calling the Hibagon the Japanese Bigfoot.